Mostly good news this week as I will be looking back at the USA's defeat to Switzerland 2-1 in St. Gallen in their last build up to an actual competitive game, which we will preview in the next Soccer OG, my Nations League preview for what we can expect to see in Denver. Some great news for American soccer on an individual level, so to speak, and I'll explain myself. Christian Pulisic winning the Champions League. So we'll address what happened in St. Gallen. We'll address what happened in Portugal. This is the Soccer OG, folks. Big video last week. These are going to get massive in the summer. Jump on board now. Please subscribe right now. Click it. Subscribe. Join the party. We're going to have a fun summer here as we will look everywhere, and a big road trip on the horizon, and some Soccer OG merchandise coming. I'm telling you, folks, it's all happening. So I don't know if I start with the good or the bad news. Let's start with the not great news. It wasn't terrible news as we looked at what the USA were able to do. They scored early. Sebastian Lletget, a couple MLS players in the lineup. We saw Jackson Yueill, as I predicted here. I got the lineup kind of close. I think the big discussions were what happens in that midfield. No Yunus Musa at the 6. He played up. It was Jackson Yueill at the 6, but he got in there. Lletget started. Reggie Cannon did start. No Daryl Dike at the top. He did not dress. Josh Sargent. It looks like Josh Sargent's going to be the forward here, but that makes me very nervous. It makes me very nervous. I don't think there's anyone. It was a very homogenized game. There was no atmosphere as we saw, and there's going to be atmosphere when they take this game to Denver. So I don't know how to really judge what I saw. I mean, there's no one who really, look, we could say, I thought Brendan Aronson, and when they pressed with Aronson and Reyna, and Brendan Aronson to me is starting to look like a real important piece to this US team, depending on what happens with Christian Pulisic. Now, Pulisic and Zach Steffen will join the team. They're probably on their way to already join the team to get together in Denver. We don't know how durable Christian Pulisic is going to be in a summer and fall that's going to be loaded with important games. So Brendan Aronson is a great plan B. He can cover for Christian Pulisic at that position. He can play in the midfield if you need him. I'd like him as a forward because he was relentless. He would press and he would press. And there was times when the U.S. pressed so well that the Swiss made some mistakes. Probably could have got a second goal there in the first half. The Lletget goal, Ricardo Rodriguez tied it at the 10th minute, and then the game winner by Steven Zuber. Switzerland had a penalty that they missed by Rodriguez. There was a couple chances they probably should have converted. This could have been an ugly scoreline. It really could have for the United States, and that just takes the wind out of the sails. 2-1's not bad. This is the biggest opponent the U.S. played, and you would hope they could have been able to put in a better 90-minute effort. I thought they got pushed around a bit, and the big concern, and Taylor Twellman, who was calling it for ESPN, he really got onto this early. Serginho Dest, fantastic moving forward. Serginho Dest is a left back when he gets exposed, and Switzerland went at him. Problems. He had the handball. He had the ball carry him off his leg, which led to another great opportunity, and did almost the Zuber goal as well. They need to help him, or he can't play there. And I'm not saying he doesn't play, but you can't put him that deep defensively. I don't know if you go to maybe a more of a back three. I would say Mark McKenzie and John Brooks, who started central defensively when they were there, it was okay for Dest, but they have got to make sure he's not on an island. He's not good enough in that defensive role. And you put a lot of obligations on him to move forward. So that's a concern, a big one, because the USA could give up a lot of goals if they don't protect that situation. The goalkeeper situation, Zach Steffen's going to be the number one. I would like to have seen Ochoa get the start. It went to Ethan Horvath, but I got to say, he really impressed me. I didn't really rate him, and he hasn't played a lot of games in Belgium for his club, but the penalty went wide, but he guessed correctly. He came out hard. The ball went off his face to make a save. Those kind of plays make a good impression for me. So Ethan Horvath, to me, man of the match. And I think other people would agree with that. Still, it's got to get better. And we'll preview the Nations League and see what this USA team can do. So much good young talent. And they'll get better, obviously, with the introduction of Tyler Adams at some point. Christian Pulisic. Yunus Musa probably starts at some point, but that was an interesting alteration for Greg Berhalter. And Greg Berhalter's got a reputation. He's got to get over them on these European games. I will say, he's done a really nice job preparing the team. They're playing in Denver, so he got the team into the Swiss Alps so they can get used to some altitude. It's not high altitude. Neither is Denver, really, for that matter. They'll be able to handle it. But it's a smart move to get them ready because it's going to be, it's going to be a whole different kettle of fish for the U.S. No more of these friendlies where they can breeze. They got to lock it down. They need some personality, and they need a mean streak. I want to touch on something that happened on Saturday. Christian Pulisic winning the Champions League. Now, I was pretty upset at the beginning because I continue. Look, there's a reality of being an American soccer fan, and you work in soccer, and I've worked in it a long, long time, and I've heard it over and over again. Americans don't know this. Americans don't know that. Stick to MLS. Your commentary stinks. Your players stink. You can't coach here. You can't ref here. All of it. Americans get bombarded with that from Europe. I don't know where else it would exist, but we deal it with a lot. And that has molded me. It's toughened me up through the years because of those criticisms, unwarranted criticisms that come. So I defend Christian Pulisic here. He should have started, in my estimation. I can't second guess Thomas Tuchel because he's smelling like a rose because he just beat Manchester City for the third time in a couple months, and they are the best team on the planet. Christian Pulisic, as an American, maybe he's easier to break the news that he's not starting. He didn't start that first Chelsea game at Old Trafford. He didn't start the second game against Real Madrid. When he started against Real Madrid, he scored. The data proves that he should be a featured player. Goals and assists to 90 minutes. When he wins free kicks, the numbers are through the roof. All of that's very important. Water under the bridge, he didn't start. So I was in a bit of a salty mood. But in the 66th minute there in Portugal, when Christian Pulisic came in, I had to stop. And my arms started to get goosebumps. I got, my throat sort of filled up with emotion. And then tears came down. And I saw myself in Christian Pulisic. I saw all of that we've had to overcome as American sports fans wash right off. That was the moment. Every kid who's played soccer, regardless of where they live, in El Paso, in Minneapolis, in Tampa, Florida, in Winston-Salem, Portland, Oregon, all those kids who thought that wasn't a possibility, it was, all of a sudden, lifting a trophy with his family there who went through all this, saw him go to Germany, to England, to now be a champion of Europe. If you cover, or if you are a soccer fan, or if you work in soccer, I think we all shared that moment. It was super important. And I know it was aired on Twitter and social media of the magnitude, and it was big. Because I thought this moment wasn't going to happen for a long, long time. We had Jovan Kirovski make a Champions League final, and Zach Steffen made a Champions League final as a backup goalkeeper. This is a featured player who could have won this game, who could have won a Champions League on his right foot. It's not far-fetched to see it. One of the best players in the world because of the position that he's in. And I'm a middle-aged man from Miami. I'm not a 22-year-old from Hershey, Pennsylvania, but we're all Americans, and we are parochial, as big as this country is. We look out for each other. We are inherently decent folks, and we're very proud to be where we're from. And whatever it looked like, wherever that first American was from, it didn't really matter because he was the first. And because of what he was able to do, there will be a second, and the second will happen a lot sooner than you think. And the sacrifices that he has had to make, and others, Jesse Marsh, Bob Bradley Forbes, they're making it easier for the next person. And that door is going to swing open in a big way. And I would say this about Christian Pulisic, that really you have to remind yourself how mind-blowing this is. We've had American stars that were really ours. Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey. These were guys that we rallied. They were the American grit. They played in the United States. They both had, Clint had a little longer spell, obviously, at Fulham, but a little taste, a cup of coffee, as they would like to say, for Landon Donovan. Christian Pulisic has grown up in Europe playing soccer. There are people or kids in Germany and England who probably identify Christian Pulisic as their favorite player, and they're not American. Everyone knows who he is, who follows the sport, knows who Christian Pulisic is. We've never had this before. It's a wonderful, wonderful time. And we know it's only going to get better. And we'll remember that moment. And I will remember that moment when I saw him came out. And a grown man in Miami crying by himself, watching that off his phone. I was like this. Soccer OG, subscribe, join the family, join the party. I put family and party together. It sounds like a really vulgar word, but I'll just keep those separate. Big news coming on the Soccer OG. As we said, merchandise and a road trip. We'll see you very soon. My Nations League preview coming out next.